Hello everyone. In this webinar, I will try to answer this question of the utmost importance. How to motivate yourself. But first, let's define motivation. Motivation is something everyone is talking about nowadays. But remember, I will not be talking about most athletes now because the real athletes usually have long-term motivation during the career, or better said, habits. They're simply passionate about their sport and they have a strong long-term desire to succeed or keep succeeding. But of course, only if the coaching staff is doing a great job. However, they can lose motivation a little bit every now and then for various reasons, so they can utilize some info from this webinar too. All in all, the most important thing is to understand the process behind. By definition, motivation is a reason or reasons for acting or behaving in a particular way. Internal and external factors that stimulate desire and energy in people to be continually interested and committed to a job, role, or subject, or to make an effort to attain a goal. Motivation is the experience of desire or aversion. You want something, or want to avoid or escape something. Basically, everything is about motivation. An individual motivation drives us to do either bad or good things. Of course, this webinar is more about how to get motivated to exercise, but most of the information can be utilized and applied generally in life. It's always better than when motivation is long-term. Short-term and relatively short-term motivation is something we all possess. It could be a promising gift, immediate satisfaction after listening any motivational speech, the current rush of desire to lose weight, etc. But for example, people rarely find long-term motivation to exercise. The only exception to this are extremely passionate people that are very rare. Even they lack a constant inspiration and motivation though. It's important to remember that internal factors are more valuable for long-term motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the act of doing something without any obvious external rewards. You do it because it's enjoyable and interesting, rather than because of an outside incentive or pressure to do it, such as a reward or deadline. That's why you are very lucky if you are really passionate about something, because you almost have an inexhaustible motivation. It probably means that you will be consistent, and that's one of the most important things for any long-term success. Let's see now what one of the best fat loss coaches said. Out of every 10 workouts, 4 will be meh, 3 will suck, 3 will be great. The key to long-term success isn't destroying every workout. It's staying consistent over the long haul. Plus, an average program done consistently works better than the best one done half a set. Remember that any high-quality progress comes from consistency, not rigidity. For example, if your goal is to lose fat, focus less on moving the scale and more on hitting your calories and protein. Strength train 2 to 4 times a week and be flexible with your diet. That's how you will succeed long term, because losing a lot of weight very quickly shows you're motivated, but losing a lot of weight slowly and maintaining it for years shows you have learned patience, and habits are more powerful than motivation. Also, if you cannot do an hour-long workout sometimes, cool. Do 15 minutes. Always remember that something is always better than nothing. It will keep you consistent and burn some calories. When you feel like quitting, just remember why you started. So we learned so far that motivation is pretty much overrated. It's not something of crucial importance, but that's something very important to so many people, and it will definitely come during the process. Stop looking for ways to boost your motivation. Success doesn't come from having more motivation. Success comes from doing what you need to do, even and especially when you don't have the motivation to do it. It's called grit. If you really want to enjoy life, you often need to do things that you definitely aren't passionate or motivated about. Because at some point, the pain of not doing it becomes greater than the pain of doing it. Every choice has a price, but when we are not motivated, It's easier to bear the inconvenience of action than the pain of remaining the same. Also, whatever you want to start, it's important to start today. Forget about Monday mantra. You can always start by drinking 1 cup of water, reading 1 page, making 1 sale, walking 1 lap, writing 1 paragraph, etc. By doing small amounts in the beginning, you will not be burned out after a while. This is mentally much easier. You will gain a habit and be able to keep motivation longer. For example, if a beginner starts with 60 minutes long workout, I'm afraid of not being able to repeat the same session soon, and that's one of the reasons why people often lose motivation. Small daily improvements are the key to staggering long-term results. Small steps can lead to big change. Even the smallest steps move you forward, and that's very important. But what if you're a type of person that really needs motivation, especially the long-term one? Unfortunately, I don't have many solutions to this, but one: try to become a goal-oriented person. This will help you a lot, but only if the goal is meaningful. Meaningful goals create their own motivation. You won't find that you need to push yourself. Instead, the goal will compel you to act. But I know it's not easy to keep working on your goals nonstop. Maintaining motivation forever is impossible. So just chill out from time to time. Nothing bad will happen if you get back on track as soon as possible. But be careful here. Your goals need to be achievable. The challenge you are facing needs to be manageable in a way that victory is not guaranteed, but it is possible. Tasks like these, science has found, are the most likely to keep us motivated in the long term. Human beings love challenges, but only if they are within the optimal zone of difficulty. Tasks that are significantly below your current abilities are boring. Tasks that are significantly beyond your current abilities are discouraging. But tasks that are right on the border of success and failure are incredibly motivating to our human brains. We want nothing more than to master a skill just beyond our current horizon. Humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard, not too easy, just right. All in all, as we said, even if you have it from the beginning, motivation doesn't last forever. You will have up and downs, and that's normal. Just get a habit and keep doing it. Of course, with occasional rests, like any other paid job you do. Indeed, it seems that psychologists don't have an answer on how to keep motivation forever, and in some cases even get motivated, get the work started in general. We simply just need to do it immediately. Uh, you need to push yourself somehow because no one else is going to do it for you. Just endure the first plus minus 10 minutes and it will be much easier to get the work done. We'll talk more on this a bit later. But one of the biggest problems in our industry is that we need to put a huge effort and time in order to see some results. There is no quick rewards other than a typical good post-exercise feeling, which can be motivating itself. But there is no a visible product we are buying, selling. There is only a promise that you will look, feel, and perform better. For wise people, that's enough. But for people who are looking for a constant motivation, this fact can be a struggle, especially long term because the progress is never linear. In most cases, we do things that are important to us only 2 to 3 weeks, and we stop because of lost motivation. We don't give a chance to habit to start its powerful process. Habit and routine are more effective than motivation. Try to develop the skill of doing what you don't feel motivated to do. Remember, creating a habit, being consistent, and patient are simple but not easy things. And these things are of the biggest importance for any success, particularly consistency, because consistency drives progress, progress drives motivation, motivation drives consistency. Basically, everything you want begins and ends with consistency, because winners are not people who never fail, but people who never quit. Uh, it's important to remember that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So, why building useful habits is not that easy? You see, human beings are, someone would say lazy, but I would say inertial creatures. What does this mean? Our brain's main function is to keep us alive, and it doesn't want or like to spend energy when it is not necessary. That's why it's extremely hard to make a first step toward anything useful but boring we need to do for our long-term health. It's not something we need to do immediately in order to survive. To me, it really makes sense why our brain does this, but often we need to trick our brain in order to do something useful to us. But unfortunately, there is no a long-term trick that will be permanently successful except gaining a habit. If you don't have a short-term motivation or when short-term motivation expires, it's important to immediately start doing what needs to be done. If you know that you need to go for a run, but you're not motivated to do it, tired or similar, just lace your shoes up and say, I'm just gonna take 5 minutes and go for a little jog. And 5 minutes later, if you're not hating it, just keep jogging at least. If after 5 minutes you are really hating it and at least not motivated to keep running, just quit. Nothing bad will happen. But there is a big chance that you will keep going. If not, you only wasted 5 minutes and that's it. It's really hard to get started on stuff sometimes. But once you get started, most probably you will keep working until finished, even if you don't find it particularly fun or pleasant. So, for most people, getting started is the most difficult thing. If you feel bad and not energized to train, just get started by doing a 5-minute warm up. In most cases, you will feel better after warm up and ready to do a decent training at least. If not, again, just quit. Nothing bad will happen. Anyways, the day after you will be ready again. So after you start, progress occurs more naturally. In other words, it is often easier to finish a task than it was to start it in the first place. Therefore, one of the keys to getting motivated is to make it easy to start. And 5 minutes long jogging or short and easy warm up are definitely something very easy. And one more thing is useful in order to push yourself. Schedule your motivation. This is important because if your workout doesn't have a time when it usually occurs, then each day you will wake up thinking, I hope I feel motivated to exercise today. And most probably you will miss a workout. If you make a schedule, it makes it more likely that you will follow through regardless of your motivation levels. And there are plenty of research studies on willpower and motivation that to back up that statement. So stop waiting for motivation or inspiration to strike you and set a schedule for your habits. The work of top people in any profession isn't dependent upon motivation or inspiration, but rather it follows a consistent pattern and routine. The key to any good ritual is that it removes the need to make a decision. What should I do first? When should I do this? How should I do this? Most people never get moving because they can't decide how to get started. You want starting a behavior to be easy and automatic, so you have the strength to finish it when it becomes difficult and challenging. For example, this is why you should not change a warm-up routine very often. As we said before, it needs to be well known and easy so we can start effortless. Again, the most important part of any task is starting. If you can't get motivated in the beginning, then you will find that motivation often comes after starting. That's why your pre-workout or anything else routine needs to be incredibly easy to start. For example, your writing routine could start by getting a glass of water. Your weightlifting routine could start by putting on your lifting shoes, etc. These tasks are so easy. You cannot say no to them. You shouldn't need motivation to start your pre-workout routine. This routine becomes so tied to your performance that by simply doing the routine, you're pulled into a mental state that is primed to perform. You don't need to know how to find motivation. Um, you just need to start your routine.